I recently discovered a young lady named Michel Janse. Now, I discovered her because she came up as a recommendation on YouTube. The specific video was her telling her followers that her marriage had ended. Now, this young lady lived all the way in California. She had been married, I think, just under 3 years. She's a born again Christian. And this knocked her for a loop, to say the least, especially holding the Christian values that she holds. Now, this young lady is not judgmental in any way. She stays away from discussing politics. She has no ill will for anybody, regardless of their sexual preference, whatever. None of that comes out of her. The only thing you see coming out of Miguel is a young lady who loves. Now, the changes she's been going through in the last 6 months found her moving all the way from California back to Texas, where her parents lived. And she's been very transparent about the changes she's going through emotionally, the growth she's experiencing, and the life lessons she's learned. I'm going to comment on one of her videos called 25 Important Life Lessons I've Learned Before Age 25. I've only chosen a few of these. I put the link to that video in the notes below, and I encourage you to go watch the entire thing. It's highly engaging. Right now, I'm going to react to just a few of the things she said.
A big lesson I learned. This is number one, is just trust your gut instinct. I had some very specific gut instincts early on in my previous relationship and just kind of about life in general that I completely disregarded and ended up coming true anyways. I'm going to listen to it because it has those feelings for a reason. Maybe it's picked up on subtextual things or things that I don't want to admit to myself, and it's something I'm going to be tuning into a lot more in the future.
Yeah, Mikhail, that there is one of the major things that got me in trouble as I grew up. There was always something in my gut, no matter how much I didn't want to listen or how much other people were telling me differently, or even my upbringing just told me better. Whenever I ignored my gut feeling without fail, I was always hurt and or disappointed behind it. So, good girl, there you go. That's one of the major life lessons that all of us need to learn.
This is a recent realization. It says there's such a thing as healthy anger. I also wrote, anger doesn't need to be fixed. It just needs to be evaluated. I was terrified of anger. I thought it was a dirty, bad emotion that I should never feel. And I recently came to the realization that healthy anger can give you the courage to stand up for yourself or others. Anger is a feeling and emotion that God feels and that God gives us to feel. And if it lingers or if it's misguided, it can very easily become unhealthy. But I thought that unhealthy was the only type of anger there is. Anger doesn't need to be fixed. It just needs to be evaluated and used for good and for action instead of used for resentment and bitterness in your heart.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what I would add to that is not just anger. There are many emotions that a lot of us stuff, especially we who have been in the church for decades. What we have to understand is a lot of the things that they attribute to you're in the flesh or your flesh this and, avoid the flesh at all costs. Often we are dealing with people's emotions, and by saying that, people often understand that they're supposed to stuff their emotion, anger, hurt, disappointment, fear. We're told that it's of the devil. Oh my God, don't get me started on that one. But we have to understand, just as you say, Mikhail, God blessed us with the ability to feel emotions, all of those emotions. And yes, God has felt those emotions, if no other way but through Jesus Christ. And when Jesus came down here in this flesh to accomplish the mission that he could only accomplish in this flesh, even he had to handle his business where his emotions were concerned. And what I like about what you said, Mikhail, is that these emotions are only unhealthy when they go too far off the deep end or we don't feel them at all. So good girl for acknowledging that about anger. I think that life lesson will hold you in good stead moving forward.
Having hard conversations is easier than the alternative. The alternative is just ignoring them and just hoping that they fix themselves. I've always been a little, very afraid of confrontation, and I kind of hope people will just pick up if I'm upset, or they'll just become a better person on their own without me having to say, hey, this is what you did and this hurt me and this is why. The fact of the matter is, letting those things go unsaid typically doesn't fix the problem. In fact, it typically makes you deal with the problem for much longer than just having an honest and open conversation up front, getting it out there, and beginning to work on it.
Yep, that's so darn true. Now, I haven't ever heard Michel indicate in any way that she's ever suffered any trauma. But I'm going to apply this to those of us who have. When you suffer a trauma, there are many areas of your self-worth that get shut down. And we lose our voices. What do I mean by that? We lose the ability to speak up for ourselves. In my case, I would stuff until I just was fed up, and whoever was in the way would catch that blowback. I would just erupt like a volcano. That was the only time that I felt the courage enough to speak up, and by then I was so full of anger that it didn't benefit me to speak up at all. So we who have suffered trauma have to be aware of the areas in our lives where we have been shut down and our voices have been shut down. That includes being too afraid to have the difficult conversations. Whether that's because the voices inside us are telling us that we're not worth it, we're not worthy, or whether we're just traumatized and have PTSD to the point where we can't speak up. So, good girl, Michel. I really like that life lesson.
4, even if your biggest fears come true, at least you can know you will grow from it. I am now less fearful of other big fears because now that I've gone through one of my biggest fears, I've realized that I am stronger because of it. Yes, it sucks. It sucks a lot. It's hurtful. It's heartbreaking. It's difficult. I can look back and say I like myself better now than I did previously. And that's made me less fearful for other bad things happening to me.
Excellent, excellent. Fear will shut you down every time. No doubt about it. And the bottom line is our being afraid of things doesn't make them not happen to us. Those things that are out of our control, whether it's at the hands of other people or whether other people's dumb mistakes affect us in a negative way. A lot of those things are out of our control, but our sitting up and obsessing on them and worrying about them never stops them from coming. In fact, they can draw certain things into our lives. So that's a good girl. It's always about a growth opportunity, and when we walk through the smoke screen of fear, on the other side is everything we need to grow into our destinies. I really like that one, Michel.
This is for all of my other fellow Enneagram 3s out there. Your value is not determined by your achievements. I talked about how I think having a lack of appreciation and affection in my previous marriage led me to being hyper aware of my achievements in order to try to find some value in myself by what I was accomplishing or how much money I could potentially earn or whatever achievements mean to you. Now I have realized that definitely has no tie to my value, and being able to step away from achievements in order to prove value to myself has led me to actually enjoy growing and building something. Because the reason I am growing and building it is from a more genuine place than it would have been if I had been trying to hit certain numbers or goals or analytics.
Yes, indeedy. So this gets to, you can do a good thing for the wrong reasons. And when you do good things for the wrong reasons, you can often end up feeling resentful, off kilter. You've got the achievements, but the achievements feel empty to you. And what I love about what Michel is saying here is that it's so much more meaningful, so much more fulfilling for her now that she's gotten off the metrics and the hyper achievement thing and being more real in what she wants. Her whole motivation has changed, and it not any longer a rat race or a gerbil wheel for her, constantly chasing that validation that never seems to come. And so when you settle into who you are, that's why I always say your greatest power resides in that. Then when you know who you are and you settle into and become comfortable with yourself, then some of those things will fall by the wayside and some of those things will become far more meaningful. And when you're coming from a place of genuine fulfillment, then others come along and can draw from that in their own lives. Good girl.
8, you are worthy of affection being reciprocated. This is something that feels very vulnerable to say out loud. My mentality in relationships previously has been to never think about yourself and what you can get out of a relationship, but to just think about how you can be there for the other person. I thought that was the formula for success. And it is, so long as the other person has that same mentality. But I kind of did not think I was worthy of asking for affection. I now know that that is important and I do deserve it. And in the future, I'm going to ask for it or just move away from a relationship if I feel like that's going to be lacking.
I can almost say gavel down, drop the mic on that one. This is one of her core values. Affection, physical touch. Those things are important to her. And going forward, she will never subjugate that to anything. This is called settling into identifying your core values and making those deal breakers as you go forward in life, career, and relationships. Good girl, I am so loving this. I was feeling this entire video. I want you guys to be sure to go watch it.
You can't plan life. You can just try your best to be prepared. And then don't worry beyond that. I think we do have a responsibility to prepare. I don't want to worry beyond what is out of my control because you really cannot predict, you cannot control life. So many things are just out of your hands. So you can do your best to be prepared, but worrying beyond that does no good.
Amen. I think we touched on this earlier. Moving to the next one.
I got this from a devotional recently. It said, "You have nothing to lose by believing the best." Isn't that cool? Believing the best in other people, believing the best in yourself and in your future. Maybe it's not true, but you have nothing to lose by believing it. It will only change your perspective. Maybe they are having a terrible day and they're distracted and they're just trying to get home to their kids. Like, you don't know. And you have nothing to lose by believing the best.
And see, that's what it is. For us trauma survivors, we're so much in survival mode. We stay in a state of hypervigilance to the point where we are just always defensive to the point where we can't even get to this. Yeah, this is great. It's called unconditional positive regard, and it means that even in the middle of what may offend us, we don't jump to the conclusion that the other person is out to get us or out to hurt us. And when we can position ourselves from that standpoint, it empowers us to be able to cut to the chase, get to the backstory, or discuss the matter in a more productive way. So deciding that you're going to believe the best of an individual in a relationship or a situation in your job or in your life period is really powerful to not only counteract the defenses, but to calm you to a point where you can really have a productive discussion about it from a more objective standpoint. I like this one too.
This was also from a recent talk at church. It said, "The voices you listen to determine your future." Take that how you will. Whether it's actual people speaking into your life, whether it's the voices in your head or whether it's what you're consuming in terms of media and podcasts and movies and TV and books. Whatever that is, the voices you listen to very much determine your future. It determines how you think and how you perceive the world, which determines the decisions you make, which determines the path that you're on, which determines where you end up. It really blows my mind if I think about that one too long.
It is mind-blowing. I'll tell you that right now. That there. There's always a devil on one shoulder and an angel in the other. There are stories that we're not talking about that are playing out on the stages of our minds to the point where we have seen this play so many times we can move our lips to the script and it's like we become unaware that it's even going on. And those things are driving us. Like she said, the decisions we make and the way we see the world is fully colored by the past that we dealt with or failed to deal with. And when we're out of control of how we dealt with that, where we don't see that playing out, then we make the wrong decisions. We get into the wrong careers. We get into the wrong relationships. We wind up in cycles and patterns that are self-destructive. But when you know how to hear the true voices inside you, because they're getting drowned out by the ones that are trauma driven. When we can quiet down the trauma long enough to hear the true voices, then we make better destiny driven decisions. This is a powerful one. I love it.
This is a lesson I know that I've yet to really implement and learn, and that's let people do things for you. I don't know why I'm so bad at this. For me, letting someone do something for me is so vulnerable. I think it makes me feel like a failure, like I'm incapable of doing it by myself. And I think it makes me feel like I am a burden to someone, that they had to take time out of their day to help me with something, or that they had to spend money to do something kind for me. And I realize and I recognize it's fulfilling for another person to be able to do something for you, or to be able to treat you in some way, or buy you dinner, or help you with an errand. And I don't know why I really struggle with that mental hurdle. It's good growth for me, and I know it probably makes that person happy as well.
Yep, I had that same problem. I don't know what my major malfunction was, but I was jumping and so ready to do for others that I didn't know how to receive even a simple compliment. Okay? And it dawned on me one day that the receiver of the gift honors the giver by accepting the gift. I could try to give you a gift all day long, but if you refuse to receive it, then you never actually get the gift. See, another way that I came to look at this as well is we may be praying for something, hoping for something, wishing for something. And when God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, I call it God, okay? When God tries to get that to us, many times it has to come through other people. So if you can't receive that blessing, then the person that was directed to bless you doesn't get to follow through on the orders. So it's so important that we allow others to understand that we are all interdependent. And when we're coming from the right place, we enjoy and get fulfillment from that. We have to understand that in order for us to be balanced, we have to learn to receive in reciprocity.
Find your comfort threshold and see what happens when you push beyond it. This is another realization I had within a vlog, is like, I've gone through so much change in the last 6 months that things that would have made me uncomfortable previously, I don't even have the capacity to feel uncomfortable by it anymore. It's like everything's new and different. So why am I going to get stressed out about this one inconvenience or this one new experience I'm going to try? It just feels like another day. And I like being in this space of being beyond my uncomfort threshold. And even when life slows down and becomes normal again, like when I fit and find my routine, find my core community, I don't think growth happens at a noticeable pace when you're comfortable.
Yeah, boy, that one there is a challenge for me. It's a tremendous challenge to step outside of where we're comfortable. But it's necessary in order to push past how trauma has a grip on us. When we have the courage to take even the tiniest step just beyond where we feel comfortable, then we can celebrate another step in showing fear who's boss and deciding from a perspective of destiny that nothing in our past will hold us back. And the great feeling that you get when you take even the smallest step outside of where you're comfortable, it's empowering, it's encouraging, and it shows you what you can do when you tap into your superpower.
It is up to you to use bad situations for good. Good will naturally come of bad things. Bad things will naturally happen in everybody's life, hard things, difficult things. But it's up to you to really be intentional with how can I take this bad situation and use it for good? How can I try my best to use this for something bigger than myself? And for me, just with the nature of my job, I've discovered that that is pushing myself to be incredibly transparent so that hopefully other people will feel less alone in what they're going through. And it has its downsides because you're much more open to criticisms as well. But it's something that I'm adamant on. I want to make good of the bad things, so I'm going to choose it.
So what she's saying here, that she's decided that even though she can't change the past or the things that perpetuated her into this sudden 6-month change in her life, while that's out of her control, she decided that she's going to make it count. And to make it count simply means that, okay, I can't change that, but how can I empower that to help others? And I am so proud of you, Michel. I am so proud of you. I think that that's a powerful position to take, and you have demonstrated that it doesn't happen by accident. It takes a determined effort. You have to be deliberate about it, and you have to be determined. That shows a lot of courage, and I'm very proud of you.
Renovating a house requires a demo day. If you're renovating a house, you are gonna have to tear some things down. You're gonna have to tear some things out. It's gonna be messy. You're gonna get sweaty. It's a whole process, but it's necessary in order to build something back up, especially if you want to build something nicer and better and sturdier back up. And I feel like I'm in the demo day of my life currently, where I'm just tearing so much down, tearing so much out, throwing it out. I recognize that it's the hard, dirty work that needs to be done because I'm so excited to build up something beautiful and something that's going to last a long time and just be special. And that's a realization I've had. I mean, think about it. Every HGTV show you watch, there's going to be a beautiful reveal at the end. There's going to have to be some ugly demo day stuff.
The type of demo that has to happen inside us as we make the determination to heal, make the determination to thrive instead of just survive, takes minute by minute decisions. I mean, you may come up on something that raises its ugly head out of your past, some internal thing, some trigger or something, and you may be just tired of dealing with the triggers, tired of dealing with the emotional fallout. Sometimes we just get tired. But in my case with this floor, I decided, nope, I don't care how allergic I am, how much I'm wheezing and coughing and sneezing from the mess. I am going to strip this down to the subfloor. Now, that was not easy. Trust me. It took me at least 2 weeks of effort, but I was determined to strip it down. And so what Michel has decided to do is, okay, I'm towed down from the crown down, but where am I going to go from here? What is in my control? What am I going to do with this mess? And you will never lose if you ever make a decision for destiny, if you ever make a decision for making it count, if you ever make a decision that you're not going to focus on what you cannot control, but you're going to control things going forward with respect to how you deal with the devastation and the fallout. You never make a wrong decision, because that's a destiny decision. And that's what Michel has done. Michel, I am so proud of you. Ever since I ran across that YouTube video of you, I have watched you religiously. I look forward to every vlog post. I have seen how you carry yourself, become stronger, more upright. I have watched you cry. I've watched you hurt, but I've watched you every time that you come through something that had you crying and hurting again about what happened. You always came out of it with, one, a better perspective, two, more determination, and three, as a class act. You have decided that we are not going to talk about my ex-husband. You have asked your followers, do not hound him. You have dealt with the thing from a position of love, even when you were hurting to your core. And I, for one, am very proud of you. I am enjoying watching you grow. I'm enjoying watching you heal. I'm enjoying watching you handle this like the class act that you are. I have come to love you, and you're a dear, sweet person. I see why you're like that, because I see your parents. You have dear and loving parents who have been so supportive of you. But the decisions you've made in your life, you are growing. As a young woman, you have grown leaps and bounds in the last 3 to 6 months. And I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I want you to understand this, that even though we may make decisions in our lives that wind up painful, as we realize we made the mistake, understand that none of it, not the last 6, 7 years with your ex, not the last 2, 3 years married to him, not the last 6 months, none of it is wasted, and it was all worth it, because you are owning who you are. You have stepped in the power of who you are, and you've made some decisions that will walk you straight into destiny. This is what I know. As I watch you, I already see your future husband. I already see him. Okay? And I know that you're going to have a relationship where you will never have to ask for the love and the touch that you want, that you need, that you love. Why? Because you're going to marry the man that God created for you. You're going to walk right into that man. And how are you going to walk into that man? You're going to walk right into that man as you stay on your path of purpose. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep going with the flow of what God leads you to do. Keep loving everybody. Keep encouraging everybody. And keep being as vulnerable as you are and as authentic as you are. Because, sweetheart, all of that is the true you. All of that. You're learning that you deserve better. You're learning that it's okay to receive. All of that is necessary for you to walk into the truth of who you are. And that walk will walk you into the arms of the man you will never have to ask him for the affection that you crave. You will never have to ask him for the support that you deserve and desire. You will never have to wonder whether or not he's faithful to you. You will never have to wonder if the next decision you make as a businesswoman is going to be met with negativity or not. Because the truth of the matter is that God don't make no mess, sweetheart. And the man that he has had for you from the beginning is out there. You pray every night for him, because he's praying every night for you. Y'all have not crossed paths yet, maybe. But trust me, you will have no doubt when you see him. You will know. Your parents will know. Your sister will know. And the world will eventually know what it's like to watch Michel walk into the love of her life and be totally fulfilled and happy in that, because there, you will be in the center of God's will. I am so proud of you. I want you to walk with your head up, and every time fear brings up a smoke screen, I want you to walk through it like the weak smoke screen that it is, and always stand tall on what you believe and what you know, and never compromise that for anybody. God bless you. Well, folks, that's it for today. Went a little long. I hope you enjoyed it. I am going to put chapters in there so you can jump around if you want to. And know that I'm Dr. Linda F. Williams. And always remember that your greatest power resides in the truth of who you are. Know that truth.